Hello guys, my name is Madhur and welcome to my channel. This is the 30th tutorial in the series of tutorials on Unix shell programming. In this tutorial, we're going to learn a couple of things. Firstly, we're going to learn to run checks on numbers, and secondly, we're going to learn to use the if-then elif as selection construct in our shell scripts. So what I'm going to do is I have my text editor here. I'm going to bring it up, and I've already saved this file as test.sh in my home folder, right? So what this script is going to do is it's going to ask the user to enter a number between 10 and 20, and then it's going to check if the number is less than 10. If it is, then it will display a message. It will then check if the number is greater than 20, and if it is, then it will display another message, and lastly it will display a message if the number is indeed between 10 and 20, right? So firstly, I'm going to use echo, and I'm going to ask the user to enter a number. So this is going to be a message for the user, and enter a number between 10 and 20. This is what we're going to display, and maybe I'll use the / escape sequencer, and then I'm going to use read to grab that input, and I'm going to store the value in a variable called num. Right now we have to make our first check, and we have to check whether the value is less than 10, and the way we're going to do it is we're going to first use a pair of brackets, right? And within the brackets we're going to type in $num -lt space 10, and we have to put a space immediately after the opening square bracket and also immediately before the closing square bracket, right? And LT here stands for less than. So what this thing is going to do is it's going to check whether the value stored in the variable num is less than 10, okay? And if the value is going to be less than 10, then we're going to display a message, right? So we're going to put the keyword if there, and on the next line we'll put the keyword then, and we'll display a message. What do I write? Maybe that was under the belt, partner. That's cool enough. On the next line, we now have to check whether the value that has been entered is greater than 20, right? So obviously we're going to use another pair of brackets, and within the brackets we're going to type in $num space -gt this time, and GT stands for greater than, space 20, and then a space after 20 and a space before $num, right? Now this is the second check that we're doing in our script, but this is not the final check, right? Because the final check is to see whether the number is between 10 and 20 or not. So since this is an intermediate check between the if block and the else block, we cannot use the keyword else here. Instead, we would have to use the keyword elif. And elif, you can think of it as a combination of else and if, and you always place your elif blocks between your if blocks and your else blocks. So if you have to make more than a couple of checks in your shell script, then you would have to use elif blocks between the if block and the else block, right? And it works pretty much the same as if would. So on the next line you'll have to use the keyword then again, and on the next line we'll display a message using echo that the value is greater than 20, or maybe something peppy like that went over my head. That's cool enough. On the next line we have to enter our else block. That's why I'll put the keyword else there, and we simply have to display a message now that the value is between 10 and 20. So instead of writing that, we'll type in something like now you are making sense. There you go. Our shell script is almost ready now. It's just that I have to close my if block by putting the keyword fi. So I'll save the script, and I'll bring up my terminal and I'll execute it, and the shell asks me for a number, so I'm gonna put in 5 first. So when I input 5, it tells me that that was under the bed, right? I'll execute it again, and this time I'll put in 25, and it tells me that that went over my head. Okay, and I'll execute it once again, and this time I'll type in 15, and now it tells me that I'm making some sense, right? So I'll take you guys through the shell script once again. First, we ask the user to enter a number between 10 and 20, and then we store it in the variable num, and then we checked whether the number was less than 10 by using the -lt operator and by putting the entire condition within square brackets. And remember, you have to put a space immediately before your square bracket and also immediately after your opening square bracket, right? And then we got into the the if block, and we used the echo statement to display a message that the value was less than 10, right? Next, we made another check to see if the value was greater than 20 or not, and this time we used the operator -gt, right? And then we got into the elif block and we used echo to display another message. And if the number was not less than 10, and if it was also not less than 20, then we would get into the else block to display that the number was indeed between 10 and 20, and that's why the user was making sense to our script, right? So in this script, we have used two operators, the -lt operator and the gt operator, right? LT stands for less than and GT stands for greater than. But these are not the only two operators you have at your disposal. If you want to run an equality check, then you can use EQ, right? So -EQ would check if the number $num is equal to 10 or not, right? And if you want to see if a number is less than equal to $10, then you would have to use LE. And if you wanted to check if it was greater than equal to $10, then you would have to use -GE. And if you wanted to check where the number was not equal to $10, then you would have to use -NE. How obvious is that? So I'm not going to execute the script with these modifications. Instead, I would suggest you guys to create a random shell script and play with these operators and see how they work. And these are really easy to remember, as you must have noticed. So that's it for now. That's all I wanted to discuss in this tutorial. And in the next tutorial, we're again going to discuss something interesting. So stick with me. Thank you so much for watching this tutorial, and please subscribe to my channel.